Now, how many of you guys do affirmations? Actually work with reprogramming your brain? The reason I ask whether or not you do that is because that unless you do, you are running the programs that are in there automatically. And you've got that 4-to-1 ratio that's going on without any control whatsoever. With the idea of affirmations, okay, it's as simple as this. One of the definitions of insanity, you guys have heard this, is going the same thing over and over and using the same thoughts, the same behaviors, the same procedures. And each time you go to do it and you do the same ones, but you expect a different result. Called tri-voice technology. And that is that the reason affirmations didn't work and this whole New Age thing became kind of crashing down is because all we ever worked with was the first person. I am this and I am that. I am this and I am that. I am a millionaire. I am a. When the source of all those I's were the you, he, or she statements.
What now?
The you, he, and she statements. So I'll give you an example. When I work with my affirmations or I am creating them, I use what is called the tri-voice technology. So, I, Joe, am a loving and beautiful person. You, Joe, you're a loving and beautiful person. He, Joe, he's a loving and beautiful person. I, Joe, am a genius at whatever I do. You, Joe, you're a genius at whatever you do. He, Joe, he's a genius at whatever he does. Because the way I look at it is that the mind is like a room. Okay? The mind is a room, and it's a room with all the furniture strewn all over the place. So the couch is like this, the lamp and the stereo and all that kind of stuff, and to get from one part of the room to the other part of the room is really difficult, and you're like trying to wiggle your way through all that kind of stuff. Working with reprogramming the room, getting back to some source wounds that are causing biochemical reactions that are going on in your body, is all about cleaning the room so that you can navigate through that room very quickly and very easily. But the problem is that we get stuck. We don't realize that there's anything outside the room. We don't realize that there's doors and windows and that outside the room even exists. Because we're so busy trying to navigate all this crap. So, part of cleaning the room up is balancing out the different types of thoughts and emotions and chemicals and equilibrating, as I call it. All of that stuff. Because when that mind is not agitated and messed up and murdy and stuff like that, it is much easier to step outside of it and observe it. But once you step outside, you're no longer entangled. My goal was to introduce to you yourselves.
What now?
My goal tonight was to introduce to you yourself.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
Because the quality of your life is based on the questions you ask.
That's true.
And until you ask, who am I? What am I? Because everything that mind control is about taking you away from your individuated self, taking you away from your point of view. And my friends, your point of view is sacred. Your point of view is sacred because you're the only one who has it.
It's unique.
It is sacred. It is your birthright. And your birthright has been stripped from you. And your birthright is being influenced. And your mind has been hijacked by ideas and thoughts, leading you to really unconscious behavior. Okay. Everywhere I go, there's not a place I go anywhere in the world where a single human being denies that what they want is peace of mind. But what is it? What is peace of mind? And the best way that I can define peace of mind, or how one attains peace of mind, is that one has peace of mind when one has certainty. And one gains certainty through the recognition of patterns. I'll give you an example. When you first learned to drive, were you certain about it? Did you have peace of mind about it? No. It was like trying to figure out gas and brake and how you take the corner and how fast you speed up or slow down and all this other kind of stuff, but you did not have peace of mind. You were nervous. But once you began to recognize those patterns, You then had certainty about driving, which then gave you peace of mind. In order for you to be free of mind control, you have to recognize the patterns of your own thinking. Because right now, the patterns of your thinking are being pulled in every which direction. You're being told to think this, think that, believe this, believe that. You have all these automatic thoughts that are going on. And until you extract yourself from that, you will not have certainty, which will not lead to peace of mind. You have to see the big picture so that you can put all the pieces where they belong. Now there are 3 levels of stress. I have to put this out. This was the most important thing that I wanted to give you. There are 3 levels of stress. The first level of stress, which drives us from peace of mind, is what is called the walk-away response. Okay? When you have the first level of stress, what we define as stress is actually the second level. By the time you can feel it and define it, you're already at the second level. Right? The first level of stress is what is known as the walk-away response. So you're going in the grocery store and you happen to see like this couple fighting and you kind of steer away from it.
Yeah.
Right? And dogs do the same thing. Something happens, they just get up and walk away. Right? No. Walk away. Now, when we are not allowed to walk away is when we get the drop of adrenaline and we go into the fight or flight response. That is the second level of stress. That is generally where we notice that we are being stressed. We're feeling it in our body, our shoulders, our stomach, or something like that. We have already entered the second level of stress. Now, when we were growing up and we wanted to get away from whatever was stressful, mom, dad, fighting, sisters, brothers, whatever it is, and we're told, no, you're not allowed to do that. So we then go into fight or flight. It's like, you stop that. So then we're not allowed fight or flight. Then we go into the third level of stress, which is unconsciousness. And unconsciousness is a coping mechanism that is the mother of all addictions and the father of suicide. That when we were not allowed by our mothers, our fathers, our teachers, our bosses, our community, our churches, all of that, to exhibit the walk away or the fight or flight, we have found ourselves in this unconscious behavior. And 1/3 of the United States population, 100 million plus million people, 100 million people are on some form of antidepressant. And my point in saying all of that is that, is there anything we're exhibiting that's creating stress in our lives? Are there any box covers that we're being told to believe? Is there any polarization that is occurring? Is there any type of thought patterns that are forcing us that we're not allowed to act, we're not allowed to say things, we're not allowed to fight or flight, we're not allowed all this kind of stuff? And so then what do you see is a whole society of unconscious people who are internalized all that anger, all that rage, all that stuff, who are now all different types of rageaholics, alcoholics, pornoholics. What happens is that we go into a virtual world as a coping mechanism. Now we talk about fear, right? Because we say fear of the unknown. I'm going to close off with this. Fear of the unknown. Fear of the unknown is impossible. There's 3 areas of knowing that exist, and maybe some of you have heard this. There's that which we know, so we know how to tie our shoes, we know how to make coffee. We know that we know that. Then there's that which we know that we don't know. Like, do you know the escape velocity for a rocket to get out of the atmosphere? No. I know that I know that I don't know that. But then there's this third area that is that which we don't know, that we don't know.
Whoa.
And so if you don't know that you don't know it, there's no concept whatsoever, it's not in there, how could you be afraid of it? So fear of the unknown is impossible, and really what fear is letting go of the known. Now fear, the acronym that I use for fear, it used to be false evidence appearing real. That's what people have used. That's not true. It's fantasized events appearing real. So for those of you who no longer want to have mind control, I share this last story and I'll do it as quickly as possible. There was a monk who really thought he was missing something. I mean, he's been meditating, he's been studying, he's been reading his books, he spent his whole life looking at this, but there was something he was missing. He just didn't feel like he was getting it like the other monks. He didn't know why. He was very frustrated.
No, he wasn't getting it.
So one day, he goes to his teacher and he says, "Teacher, what is it that I'm missing? What is it that the other guys understand that I don't understand? What is it do I have to do?" And his teacher stood up and motioned for him to follow, and they walked out of the temple and they walked through the woods and they get to a lake, and the teacher walks out into the lake and turns around, and the student comes in front of him, and he takes the student, puts his hands on his shoulders and puts him under the water. And so the student just surrenders and thinks he's having this beautiful baptism, he's going to have this incredible experience and what have you, and nothing's happening. And eventually he's like running out of air. And so he tries to stand up, and the teacher holds him under the ground, under the water. And he tries, and he's struggling, the teacher would let him up just for a little tiny breath, and you push him back down and hold him. And finally the guy was just getting weak. He had no more oxygen. Something in him just gave one last surge, and he pushes up, and right then the teacher lets him go. And he goes, "What were you doing? I mean, I ought to kill you for trying to kill me. What's wrong with you? Why were you trying to drown me?" And the teacher looks at him and he says, "My son, only when you want your own liberation, as much as you wanted that breath, will you find what it is you are looking for. But only when you want to be free of that as much as you want your actual breath, will you find what you're looking for." So thank you very much.